Hello, this is Kristen at Learn English with BeGlobal, and today we are going to talk about greetings in the English language and the different ways that you can greet someone when you first see them, and also ways that you can say goodbye when you part. So, I want to go through two different kinds of greetings in English. There is the formal greeting and the informal greeting. So, with a formal greeting, we would be discussing more along the lines of someone that you work with, possibly your boss, or somebody that you might be having a job interview with, or somebody that you just don't know very well. So you're meeting them for the first time. This is a formal introduction. So with our meeting and our formal meeting, we want to make sure that we make a good impression and that we look very responsible and that we know what we're talking about. So when we first greet somebody formally, we want to say hello. You want to make sure that you look them in the eyes and make eye contact with them. And typically, you would also start with good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time of day it is. Now, after you've greeted them initially with either hello, or good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, after you've done that, you want to make sure you introduce yourself. So you would say, hello, good afternoon. My name is Kristen. And at that point, here in North America, we typically greet formally with a handshake. So you would extend your right hand to that person, they extend their right hand, and you give them a nice firm shake. When you first say, hello, good morning, and you introduce yourself. Once they've introduced themselves, you want to make sure that you say that it's nice to have met them. So you would say, it's nice to meet you. Or you could say, I'm pleased to meet you. Or you could say, it is a pleasure to meet you. So after going through this formal introduction again, let's go through it all together. So let's say I walk up to somebody. I'm going to pretend like that somebody is you. And I'm going to say, good morning. My name is Kristen. Pleasure to meet you. And then at that point, you probably would continue on with whatever business you may be doing with that formal meeting. You probably wouldn't ask them right away, how are you? Typically, they want to discuss a project, or if you're talking to your doctor, you're talking about a procedure, or you're at a doctor's appointment. It's not somebody that you know, so it's not typical at that point with somebody formal that you would say, how are you? However, if it's somebody that, let's say, you've met once or twice, or maybe even 3 times, at that point, you're not going to introduce yourself, so you could say, good morning, hello, shake their hand again, how are you today? Or how is your week? So it's okay to extend that how are you after you've met them the first time. But the first time, you just want to introduce yourself, be pleasant, and give them a chance to talk to you, because that's why you're coming to see them. Now, you want to make sure when we're informal, it's much more relaxed. Informally, these are people that you know very well, people that you've seen, people that you are related to, family members, people that you've known for a very long time. So when you see people like that, you see them on the street and you may say hi. You may wave hi. Some people do fist bumps when you bump your fists together. Some people do high fives where they slap their hands together. It just depends. Other people like to give a hug. They'll say hi and they'll hug them right away. Or they'll say hey. Or maybe they'll say what's up. And that's just a way of saying what's going on. How are things in your life? How's it going? And so when you first greet someone informally, typically you'll hug them, or you may high five them, or you may fist bump them. But you want to make sure, especially if you're new to the culture and you're new to the language, You want to make sure that it's someone else that's comfortable with that too. So sometimes it's best to wait back and kind of let them make that gesture if they're going to hug you or if they're going to high five you, and you can just stick with the hey or the hi and the what's up. But you always want to make sure that you have a follow-up question. So after you've said hi and maybe you hug or you high five, you want to have your follow-up. So your follow-up might be, how are you today? Or how is your family? Or maybe if it's somebody you go to school with, you will ask them, how did you do on that big test that we had yesterday? Because this is somebody that you know. So you want to ask them questions. You want to know how they're doing when you run into them. Now, the big difference I want to make sure that we know, which is very different in North America, I think, to most cultures. When you are greeting someone formally and you say, how are you? Typically, when it's somebody you don't know very well, you give them a very short response. You could say, I am good. Or you could say, I am well. Or I am fine. But it's a short answer when it's formal. You don't, if you are having a very bad week because you did bad on a test and your boss yelled at you at work and then your mother called and she's angry with you, when you're greeting someone formally and they say, how are you? You don't want to tell them all of that. When you run into your friend and they say, how are you? That's when you can say, oh my goodness, this week has been awful. And you can tell them all about your week when it's your informal friend. Another important thing is to make sure that you always return the greeting. So if you have someone that has said hello to you, you run into a friend, they say hi, you say hi back, you give them a hug, and they look at you and they say, how are you doing today? You tell them, today I am good, I feel good, I got a good grade on my test, I woke up in a good mood, and then you always want to make sure that you return that. How are you today? Make sure that you talk back to them and ask them how they are doing as well. It's just courteous and nice and respectful to make sure that you go back and ask them how they are. And if it's someone that you know, you can also follow that up with, how is your mother? Or how is your family? Or refer it to whatever that last conversation was that you had with that friend. Okay? So that goes over the formal and informal when it comes to meeting people. And now I want to discuss the formal and the informal for parting. So that's when we go away. So now this is when you're going to be leaving somebody. So formally, if you've just had a meeting with somebody and you want to make sure that you leave a good impression, you always want to say thank you. You can say, it was nice meeting you. And you can also say, have a good day or have a good night. And then shake their hand once again when you part ways. Different people will shake hands when they part. Some people will not shake hands when they part, and they will only shake upon the first meeting. You can let them make that decision. It's not considered rude if you don't shake hands when you leave. However, it is best to do both if you can and if you feel comfortable. What's important is that you say thank you, that you tell them have a good day or have a good night, and you say goodbye. So you can just say a simple goodbye. It doesn't include a wave, it doesn't include a fist bump, and it certainly doesn't include a high five. When you're formal, you stick to only the handshake. Or just thank you, have a great night, goodbye. And you can leave it to those simple whenever it's formal. One good thing is if you're not sure if it's formal or not, you can test it out to see what the other person says and get a good feeling for it. And you can always be safe just using the formal and not using the informal. Because you can say these very nicely and people will not think that you're being too formal with them. You could always be very kind and say, thank you, it was nice to meet you. I've said that to people informally too when I'm first meeting them, even if it's not a job offer or a doctor or somebody like that. Now, when you're saying goodbye and it's informal, so this is somebody that you've known for a long time, your brother, your sister, your best friend, somebody you love and know, you want to make sure that you start with the follow-up. So before you leave, you want to say something like, call me next week, or make sure you send me that text. Or if you talked about a homework assignment with a friend, let's go over that homework assignment. You kind of touch base with them to see what it is that you're going to do next. So maybe I'll call you next week before you say your final goodbye, so that they know this is the closing of the conversation and of the meeting, and then you have a point from which you know you're going to see each other again, because this is somebody that's informal. So this is somebody that you are probably going to have in your life once again. So you may say, you can still say thank you. You can still say thank you for lunch, or thank you for meeting up with me, or thanks for talking to me. It's always nice to thank a friend. And then you follow that up with another hug, or another high five, or however you relate with your friends. And then you can say bye, or see ya, see you later. Some people just say later. Ciao, which is actually Italian, but many people here in America use ciao as well. Bye-bye. Bye-bye is used more regularly and more often with children, but some adults say it as well. So they may say bye-bye to a little girl or a little boy. And then another is have a good one. And have a good one can be changed to have a good night, have a good weekend, have a good day, have a good week. Or if there is a holiday coming up, you could even go as far to say, have a good Christmas. If you know you're not going to see them for the holiday, that's a great time to wish them a Merry Holiday or a Merry Christmas, or let them know that you're thinking of them and their family. You could always say hi to your mom for me. And then take care is a good one too, especially if you're meeting with somebody that maybe is going through something very difficult. You may not want to use one of these very cheery and happy goodbyes. You may want to say something a little more simple and kind and genuine. So at that point you may want to say take care, and that just means take care of yourself and be well, that kind of a thing, so that they know that you care about them and you're not just waving them away very quickly saying bye, see you later. So take care is a good one too. So to recap where we are at with the greetings when you part, formally you would want to say thank you very much, it was nice to meet you, have a great night, goodbye. Those are all great things to say to somebody formally when you have met someone for an interview, or a doctor, or someone that you are meeting with for a service for the first time that you don't know very well. And you want to make sure that you keep it very respectable and that you're making that good impression. And then informally, whenever you're talking to somebody that you know very well, somebody that's family or friends, then you start with the follow-up. So something to end the conversation as you're getting ready to part ways. Maybe thank you for dinner, or I will text you next week so that we can meet up again, or let's study those notes for that test coming up, or whatever it is that you want to discuss with them to make sure that you follow up with, to set a point to maybe see each other again, or just a recap of the night. So taking something that says, thank you for tonight, I enjoyed my time with you. You can say that too. It's very nice and very genuine. And then you can follow that up with your hug, or your high five, or your fist bump, and you can say bye, or see ya, or see you later, or ciao, and keep all of these very simple. Bye-bye, something very simple and small. And then, like I said, if it's somebody that maybe is going through something and you don't want to be too happy and cheery when you leave, you can say take care or feel better, and let them know that you care about them. I hope that these have helped you. And I know typically when we're talking, let's say we're talking about a phone conversation, that's hard because you don't know who's calling. So when you answer the phone, you answer it with hello, and then typically somebody will introduce themselves right away. And then when you get off the phone, you say goodbye, and that's very common. Those are regular greetings for a phone conversation as well. So I thank you so much for watching this lesson today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. And if you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you, so please write them in below. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.